Welcome to our deep dive. We're going to be looking at a really interesting topic today, the semiconductor industry, and you've given us a ton of material to work with.
Yeah, a whole stack of reports, surveys,
Yeah.
articles, all sorts of things.
It's going to be fun to uncover, well, what makes our digital world tick.
Yeah, and especially with your interest in, how AI is shaping this whole industry,
Right.
like from the business side and the tech side.
Yeah, for sure. And how can we forget sustainability?
Of course, yeah, that's becoming huge everywhere you look.
So let's just jump right in. One of the first things that jumped out at me was just like the sheer demand for these chips.
Oh, yeah.
Downstream industries are predicting this like massive 29% increase in demand by 2026.
Wow.
That's almost double what the semiconductor companies themselves are forecasting.
Yeah, I think that really highlights out, downstream industries, they're always so eager to adopt the latest technologies.
Right.
But the semiconductor companies, they've been around. They've seen the cycles.
I know.
They know what overestimating demand can lead to.
Oh, yeah. Excess inventory and price drops.
Exactly. They're trying to find that sweet spot.
Right, right. So even with that cautious outlook, though, the market is expected to hit over $1 trillion by 2030,
Yeah.
which is just mind-blowing.
It's a huge market.
And especially when you think about how in 2023 alone, over 1 trillion chips were sold.
Yeah, that's
That's
incredible.
over 100 chips for every person on Earth.
That really shows you just how important semiconductors are these days. I mean, they're not just in our phones and computers anymore.
No.
I mean, everything, cars, appliances, medical devices, even infrastructure. I mean, you name it.
It's crazy. And speaking of things that are changing the game, you were probably right to say that AI is like a major force in all this.
Oh, for sure.
Nearly 60% of the companies, the semiconductor companies, they're saying that AI and 5G are like driving their entire strategies.
Well, yeah, 5G, it's all about speed and connectivity. And that enables just massive amounts of data transfer.
Right.
And AI just thrives on
That
that.
needs all that data.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship.
Oh.
They feed each other.
Yeah. So it's not just about like having these super powerful chips, but you also need the infrastructure to handle all this data that AI is creating.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're already seeing this play out in real time with companies like Qualcomm.
Oh, yeah.
We're developing these specialized chips called NPUs.
Neural processing units.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're designed for on-device AI.
Right.
So your smartphone or your other devices can do all these complex AI tasks without even relying on the cloud.
That's amazing. And then there's NVIDIA with their GPUs.
Oh, the graphics processing units.
Right.
Yeah, they're powering like all these massive AI models like ChatGPT.
Right.
Those GPUs are designed to handle parallel processing, and that's what AI excels at.
So it's like we're moving away from this one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah.
And we're moving toward these chips that are specifically tailored for AI.
Right, exactly.
And it's not just the big chip makers that are getting involved either.
No.
Like even the tech giants, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, they're designing their own chips in-house. Oh, wow.
It's kind of counterintuitive. Like, why wouldn't they just buy what they need?
Well, it's a strategic move.
Right.
It gives them so much more control over their hardware.
Yeah.
They can optimize the chips for specific tasks,
Right.
whether it's like cloud services or boosting the performance of their devices.
And think about the cost savings and the supply chain risks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, by designing their own chips, they could potentially save a lot of money and they get a steady supply of the components they need.
Yeah, which is so important these days with how volatile the market is.
Oh, absolutely.
But that kind of brings up a big question, with all this excitement around AI and the demand for specialized chips, can the industry even keep up?
Right.
Our research actually shows that over half the companies that are using these chips are worried about whether their suppliers can even meet their needs.
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of challenges facing the industry right now.
Yeah.
Like geopolitical tensions, that's a big one, especially between the U.S. and China.
Any disruption in that supply chain, especially involving Taiwan,
Right.
where TSMC is based.
That world's largest chip maker.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, that would have like a ripple effect across the globe.
It's crazy to think about how interconnected everything is and how reliant we are on just a few key players.
Yeah. And we saw that with the pandemic and the war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
It really exposed just how fragile those global supply chains are.
Yeah. I mean, remember those chip shortages?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you couldn't buy a new car because they were missing a tiny chip.
It was crazy.
It was a big wake-up call for a lot of industries.
Yeah, it really was. And now there's a huge focus on resilience.
Yeah.
Companies are looking at friendshoring,
Right.
basically moving production to countries that share similar values and have like political stability.
Makes sense. And then there are initiatives like the U.S. Chip PS Act
Right.
and similar programs in the EU.
Yes.
They're pouring billions of dollars into boosting domestic chip production.
It's really interesting to see how that's going to reshape the global landscape.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's going to have some long-term implications for the industry.
It's clear that making more chips is super important,
Yeah.
but it's not the whole story.
No, it's not.
Innovation in terms of the chip design and how they actually function is super important too.
Oh, definitely.
So what are some of the key innovations that downstream industries are looking for?
Well, customization is a big one.
Okay.
Instead of using like generic off-the-shelf chips, companies want chips that are specifically designed for their needs.
So kind of like tailoring a suit,
Exactly.
but for technology.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And speaking of tailoring, software is becoming just as important as the hardware.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The ability to update and adapt chips through software that can extend their life cycles so much.
Yeah, and make them more flexible.
Exactly.
But this brings up another challenge, right?
Yeah, what is it?
How do you monetize software in a market where customers expect everything to be bundled together?
Right. That is tricky. I think companies are going to have to find some creative solutions to capture the value of their software innovations.
Yeah, maybe tiered subscription models or offering specialized software tools alongside the hardware?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe. And this ties into another important thing we need to talk about: sustainability.
Yes, it's not just about profits anymore.
Right.
It's about responsibility.
Absolutely. Consumers and investors are demanding that companies operate ethically and sustainably, and the semiconductor industry is no exception.
Yeah, they're definitely making strides in that area.
Yeah.
Investing in energy and water conservation, waste reduction, and even exploring greener materials in their manufacturing processes.
Yeah, like, for example, TSMC's CAWES packaging technology.
Oh, yeah.
It uses 3D stacking to create smaller and more efficient chips.
It's like building a skyscraper instead of a sprawling single-story building.
I like that.
You get more functionality using less material and energy.
That's a great analogy. And then there are chiplet-based designs.
Oh, yeah, those are becoming really popular.
They're breaking down complex chips into smaller modules.
Right, which reduces waste and emissions during production.
So in a way, making them more sustainable.
Exactly. In
Yeah.
fact, some estimates suggest that a particular chiplet design can reduce carbon emissions by as much as 25% compared to traditional methods.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is.
It makes you wonder if minimizing environmental impact could become like a competitive advantage in the future.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, consumers are getting more eco-conscious all the time.
Yeah.
They may be willing to pay more for products that are produced sustainably.
Yeah, it's amazing how sustainability is becoming such a big part of everything.
It really is.
And, speaking of interconnectedness, another theme that keeps popping up in the research is the importance of partnerships.
Oh, yeah.
The semiconductor industry seems to be becoming more collaborative.
It is, and you know why?
Right.
It's just so complex to design and manufacture these chips.
Yeah.
Plus all the geopolitical factors we talked about.
Right.
They're having to share costs, expertise, and risks.
Right.
We're seeing joint ventures, research collaborations, even industry-wide initiatives to develop open standards.
It seems like they're starting to realize that they can achieve more by working together
Yeah,
than going it alone.
definitely.
There are some great examples of this, like TSMC forming a joint venture in Europe with Bosch and Infineon and NXP.
Right?
Global Foundries and STMicroelectronics are teaming up for a new fab in France.
That's right.
And then you have Intel and AWS collaborating on custom chip design.
It's great to see all these partnerships.
Yeah.
They're not only speeding up the development of new technologies, but they're also strengthening the supply chain.
Yeah, by diversifying production.
All right, so it's a win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah, the companies get the resources they need, and consumers benefit from the innovation and more products being available.
Absolutely. It really highlights that collaborative spirit that's pushing the industry forward.
And paving the way for future advancements.
For sure.
This has been incredibly insightful.
It has.
We've gone over so much, from the crazy demand for these chips to geopolitical tensions reshaping the industry and the importance of security and all the progress being made in sustainability.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It has. But before we go any further, let's take a short break to think about what we've learned so far.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll be back soon to explore even more about the semiconductor industry and what it all means for us.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. We've been talking about all these partnerships in the semiconductor industry.
Yeah, and it's not just about the big companies teaming up.
Right.
There's also like this really cool trend towards more open and collaborative innovation.
Yeah, you're talking about things like RSCV and the Open Compute Project.
Exactly. It's kind of like open source software,
Yeah.
but for hardware.
So companies can customize and adapt designs more quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads to faster innovation cycles.
Makes sense. And it's a nice change of pace
Yeah.
from an industry that's traditionally been so secretive.
True, but it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Working together, they can tackle these complex challenges more effectively.
Right. And speaking of challenges, one of the biggest ones they're facing is security.
Oh, yeah, for sure. With chips being used in everything these days. I mean, cars, power grids, medical devices, financial systems.
Right. The stakes are so high.
It's like the backbone of our digital world,
Yeah. Any vulnerability could be catastrophic.
and the threats are always evolving.
Yeah, cyber attacks are getting more and more
It's the
sophisticated.
constant arms race.
Right.
But semiconductor companies are investing a lot in security measures,
Yeah.
like secure firmware, hardware-based encryption,
Hmm.
and really robust supply chain security protocols.
So it's not just about protecting the chip itself. It's
No.
about making sure the entire manufacturing and distribution process is secure.
Exactly. And AI is actually playing a big role in all of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, AI-powered systems can analyze tons of data
Right.
to detect anomalies and potential threats in real time.
So they're like digital security guards.
That's a good way to put it.
But security isn't just about preventing cyber attacks.
Right.
It's also about protecting intellectual property.
That's a great point.
You know, all the hard work and investment that goes into these technologies.
And we're seeing companies using a mix of approaches.
Yeah.
Strengthening legal protections, cybersecurity, blockchain technology to create tamper-proof records.
It's like they're building a fortress to
Yeah,
protect their intellectual property.
exactly.
But you know, as we're talking about all these advancements and challenges,
Yeah.
I keep thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
What does this all mean for the future of technology and for society?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
The semiconductor industry is at the heart of so many things that will shape our world.
And AI is going to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
We're already seeing AI transforming healthcare, finance, transportation, so many things.
And as chips get more powerful and efficient, who knows what we'll be able to do?
It's an exciting time to be alive.
It is, but with all this progress, we can't forget about the human element.
Right.
We have to make sure AI is developed and used responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. Technology is a tool.
It is.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
That's right.
We need to have open and honest conversations
Yeah.
about the impact of AI on jobs, privacy, society as a whole.
We all need to understand these technologies
Yeah.
and what they mean so we can make good decisions about how we want to shape the future.
And speaking of shaping the future, sustainability is another crucial aspect.
Oh, for sure. It's not just a nice to have anymore.
Right.
It's a must have.
Consumers, investors, governments, they're all demanding that companies operate responsibly.
And the semiconductor industry is listening.
Yeah, they're investing in energy-efficient manufacturing,
Yeah.
reducing water consumption, exploring greener materials.
And they're even using AI
Really?
to optimize resource utilization.
So they're making their operations even more sustainable.
Exactly.
It's a win-win.
It is.
They reduce their environmental impact, they save money, they attract investors, and they appeal to consumers.
Sustainability isn't just a feel-good initiative anymore.
Right.
It's a smart business.
And consumers are getting more aware of this.
Oh, yeah. They're looking for companies that share their values.
And they'll spend their money accordingly.
Exactly. Companies that ignore sustainability are taking a big risk.
They could lose market share, damage their reputation.
For sure.
That's where initiatives like the EU's Green Deal and the US's Inflation Reduction Act come in.
Oh, yeah. Those are important.
They're incentivizing clean energy and sustainable manufacturing.
Yeah. It creates a much better environment for companies that want to do business responsibly.
And we're seeing companies in the semiconductor industry respond.
Word.
TSMC, for example, they've pledged to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050.
That's a big goal.
It is, and they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
Investing in renewable energy.
It shows real leadership.
It does, but
Yeah.
it's not just about reducing their own impact.
Hmm.
The semiconductor industry can actually enable sustainability in other sectors, too.
Oh, yeah. Think about it.
Yeah.
Chips are at the heart of electric vehicles, smart grids, renewable energy systems.
Right, and as chips get more efficient and affordable,
Yeah.
more people will adopt these technologies.
Exactly.
It'll speed up the transition to a greener economy.
That's like a domino effect.
I like that.
The semiconductor industry's commitment to sustainability can ripple out and help us build a better future.
It really is amazing how the industry can have such a big impact.
It is.
We've covered so much today.
Yeah.
From the details of chip design and manufacturing to geopolitical forces and the importance of security and all the great things happening with sustainability.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, and as we move into the final part of our deep dive,
Yeah,
I'm curious to see what the future holds.
me too.
What new challenges and opportunities are out there?
Yeah,
What breakthroughs will change everything?
right.
And how will all of this affect our lives?
Those are great questions, and we'll explore them in the final part of our deep dive.
We'll look at the exciting possibilities and potential pitfalls ahead for the semiconductor industry
Yes.
and what it all means for you.
So stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our deep dive. It's amazing to think how AI is going to shape the future of the semiconductor industry.
Yeah, as AI gets more advanced, it needs even more powerful and specialized chips.
Right. It's a challenge, but also a huge opportunity for the industry to really innovate.
It is.
It's incredible how much AI relies on these tiny chips.
Oh, yeah.
Think about those large language models everyone's talking about, the ones powering those chat bots,
Yeah.
generating all that creative text.
Yeah, they need so much processing power.
It's wired.
We're seeing a real shift happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from general purpose chips to chips specifically optimized for AI tasks.
Right.
Like those NPUs we were talking about before.
The neural processing units.
Yeah, designed for on-device AI.
Yeah, they're only getting more important as AI moves beyond the cloud and into like our everyday devices.
It really makes you wonder what kind of AI capabilities we'll have in our smartphones and cars, even household appliances in just a few years.
Oh, totally. It's
Yeah.
going to be interesting to see.
But all that processing power comes at a cost, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, these AI systems, they need a lot of energy.
Yeah, we can't power all of this at the expense of the planet.
Well, that's where the semiconductor industry gets really creative. They're always pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
They're developing new architectures, new fabrication processes, all to boost performance while using less energy.
I was reading about TSMC's 2 nanometer process node.
Oh, wow.
It's unbelievable how they can fit billions of transistors onto a chip the size of your fingernail.
It's amazing, to think a human hair is 80,000 nanometers wide,
Right.
and they're working at the 2 nanometer scale. It's mind-blowing.
And those smaller transistors mean faster processing speeds and lower power requirements.
Right? Your smartphone could become even more powerful and use less battery.
That's incredible.
It's all thanks to those advances in semiconductor technology.
It's a real testament to Moore's Law, isn't it?
It is.
It keeps going,
The number of transistors on a microchip doubling roughly every 2 years.
leading to exponential increases in computing power.
Exactly.
This constant race
It is.
to make things smaller, faster, and more efficient.
Absolutely. And there's also a geopolitical race going on.
Right. The U.S. and China investing heavily in the industry.
Oh, yeah. The U.S. GPS Act and all those initiatives in the EU.
Trying to boost domestic chip production, attract the best talent.
They're recognizing that semiconductors are super important.
Yeah. For economic growth, national security.
It's a big deal.
It feels like we're entering a new era where control of these tiny chips could have massive implications globally.
It's a really complex landscape with huge consequences.
Yeah. And we can't forget about other major players like South Korea, Japan, Taiwan.
They're all important parts of this evolving ecosystem.
Definitely. And one thing that really struck me in our research was the partnerships.
Oh, yeah.
Companies are starting to see that they can't do it all themselves in this environment.
It's too complex, too competitive.
They need to collaborate, share expertise, pool resources.
To tackle all the challenges of chip design and manufacturing.
Exactly. And we're seeing this play out in all these joint ventures and research collaborations.
TSMC partnering with Bosch Infineon and NXP in Europe.
Global foundries teaming up with ST Microelectronics in France.
Yeah, it's all about working together.
It shows that cooperation, not just competition, is key for progress.
Especially in an industry as complex and fast-moving as this one.
For sure. And it's not just companies working together.
Right.
Governments also have a role to play.
They do. They
For
need
sure.
to encourage innovation, provide funding, and create supportive regulations to help the industry grow.
Right. And we also need to think about the workforce of the future.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Making sure there are enough talented engineers and scientists.
Who are ready to tackle the challenges and opportunities of this industry.
Exactly, because this industry is only going to get more complex and evolve even faster.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's clear that the semiconductor industry is about so much more than just making tiny chips.
It is.
It's about pushing the boundaries of technology, collaborating globally, and shaping the future of our world.
It really is.
It's an industry full of challenges and opportunities.
With brilliant minds constantly pushing for progress.
And it's one that will definitely continue to impact our lives for many years to come.
For sure.
Well, thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of semiconductors.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you learned something new and maybe even gained a new appreciation for these little chips that power our digital lives.
Yeah, and remember, the future is being written right now.
So stay curious, keep learning, and be a part of shaping the world of tomorrow.